All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Solana Smoke. To be honest, I don't remember if we're number 12 or 13 or even 14. But anyway, welcome back, everyone. Today it's April 16, 2026. Solana price is about $85. So throughout, I would say the last couple of months, we've been stagnating in this area. And the reason, I have no clue. but again, today we're going to be watching a nice video from our good friends at Solana Floor. And we're going to be talking about another kind of security event that took place last week, the Drift exploit 285, I want to say, a million that was basically stolen from Drift. And we'll be going a little bit into the how, but the bigger picture is that, of course, this had a kind of a snowball effect on the whole Solana ecosystem, and there was about $1 billion worth of TVL that kind of exited the ecosystem within one day. Now we're kind of back. We should actually have a quick look at the numbers. So if we're going onto DeFi Llama, what do we see here? So now we're about at 5.8, 5.9 billion of TVL. So, and I mean, the hack happened there. I mean, 1st of April, I think very, very smart of our Lazarus group hackers to do that on the 1st of April. I mean, whenever the news were going around, is it an April Fool? But anyway, we went from 6.3 down to 5.3. So really, $1 billion worth of TVL that just gone. And now we recovered another, $500 million. So again, we're going back up. But enough of me talking. Let's have a quick look at that video, and then we'll keep on chatting, of course. So the video was produced 5 days ago. And as always, we'll just run through it. And then whenever we want to talk about something, we'll just, do it like we usually do, compare, see if the story is what we understood of it, and really give our opinion on the whole story. So let's go.
One hack cost the entire Solana ecosystem $1 billion worth of damage. We're all still reeling from the Drift hack, with $285 million drained in about 12 minutes. But by the next morning, Solana DeFi had lost nearly...
12 minutes. that was quick. I think, they were clearly very prepared. We'll see it throughout the video. It's been a work in progress for them to achieve that, level of speed. We won't go so much about really the hack per se, but more of the impact that it had on businesses, on the protocol, Solana itself, and on the users, and what the foundation actually did.
$1 billion in total value locked. Now, if you just read the headlines, you probably thought Solana's cooked, DeFi is cooked, pack it up and go home. North Korean developers have already worked on multiple projects, so surely every protocol is going to zero. But that reaction, while understandable, misses the actual story. Because when you break down the data, where those losses came from, who was actually exposed, and how this compares to almost every major DeFi hack before it, then a very different picture emerges. That's what we're going to do today. We're going through the full picture. And by the end, you'll know exactly what happened, what it means for your Solana DeFi exposure, and most cover this in real time as the hack was ongoing. So Drift protocol goes under active attack.
So clearly, it's the 1 billion. If we put it in perspective, 1 billion out of 6 is like 6% of the full DeFi that kind of left the ecosystem, because people were just removing their funds really from the protocols, because if happens on Drift is interlinked within a lot of other protocols. And so you have this snowball effect where you want to protect your fund. A lot of the protocols actually, were warning users, of course, as the hack was ongoing. And it's something that, we at Bill and Bellum, Ross and I, we talked to a lot of prospects, a lot of companies, and this is really something that is on their mind, if it's kind of from an asset protection point of view, like, is DeFi the place to invest? Well, it's new technology, so you always have to be mindful of the risks. But as well, if we talk to our blockchain kind of Web3 clients, we when we're coming in and do our work with them, trying to evaluate the risk, would be from a kind of tech or legal point of view. You have to be mindful that you're dealing with funds that are from your clients, and this is why you really have to be in control of everything, not only from a technological point of view, but as well from a legal and more of an operational point of view. So those are the things that we really do with Ross when working with our clients.
The attackers stole $285 million in under 12 minutes, draining vaults holding JLP, USDC, WBTC, Sol, and plenty of other assets. Now, within hours, over $230 million had already been bridged to Ethereum through Circle's CCTB, and they converted that into ETH. But here's the critical detail. This wasn't a smart contract hack, because the code worked, the audits held, the vulnerability, as it turned out, was human. And that's the bittersweet reality that we need to focus on today, because it changes how we think about this billion.
Exactly. I think the number is about roughly 90% of all the hacks in the DeFi space, come from private key being compromised. And this is really where, it's an operational mistake that is being done on the protocol, on the company levels. It's not the tech itself that is not working. It's, we have to realize that there's still a lot of humans behind, and sometimes humans might be lazy, or they just don't have the right procedures, or private key, literally it's key management in place. And unfortunately the hackers know that, and they're attacking the team from a social level rather than actually a tech level.
Damage caused by the hack. And this is also where it gets mind-blowing. The hackers are a North Korean state-affiliated group called Lazarus, which you've no doubt heard about. They've hacked billions across crypto in the last 5 or so years, and unfortunately for us, they're getting better with every hack. They spent 6 months building relationships with Drift contributors. They deposited over $1 million into Drift to make that relationship look legitimate. Then they planted a malicious code repo and a fake test flight app. They compromised devices. They managed to get 2 out of 5 members of Drift Security Council to sign off on transactions using something called durable nonces. Now, this is a legitimate Solana feature that lets you pre-sign transactions for future execution. The attack was already locked in before anyone saw it coming. Lily Liu, the president of Solana Foundation, put it bluntly: smart contracts held up. The real targets now are humans. And this really matters for how we think about DeFi security going forward. The threat has moved. It's you and I that are now the vulnerability.
Of course, and this is why understanding the companies behind the protocol and our role at Bill & Bellum of ensuring that these companies are properly organized and having the proper framework in place is really what sets protocols apart. So everything, it's going to happen more and more. We have to be realistic. I think with AI, there's going to be a lot of attacks that are going to be perpetrated, and we as the human need to be more careful and more mindful of that. So
the code or the platforms that we're interacting with. But let's zoom out for a second, because only then do we realize that the $285 million number isn't even the worst part of this. Here's what happened to Solana DeFi as a whole. April 1st, so right before the hack, we had $6.33 billion in TVL. April 2nd, so less than 24 hours later, that number's down to $5.37 billion.
And why is that? Like I said at the beginning of the video, it is really because the composability element of DeFi. Each protocol work with another one, and so when one pillar really shakes, the whole capital flees everywhere. So platforms such as Carrot, Camino, they're all affected because everyone is working with Drift, and this is why you really have to be mindful of the structure that you're using. And although when I work with clients, every founder is like, yeah, our tech is working, we've passed the audit, but then suddenly there is like a personal wallet that is still hanging there from the early days, or you have third-party integrations, and ultimately, well, this leads to catastrophes like that.
a slight recovery by April 7th to 5.46 billion. But the $964 million lost in a single day is about 15.2% of the total chain TVL.
I mean, now he's going to go kind of more in depth into the number, but I think really you've all understood really 1 billion out of TVL gone in one day because all the projects are interlinked. But what's really the reaction from that? Well, the Solana Foundation then, kind of quickly decided, okay, we need to correct this. And I think it's at the end of the video. Let's have a look where they're talking about what are the actual solutions.
Market moves on. Now, it's finally worth noting that September 2025, Solana Floor reported that hacks and exploits were far more common on EVM networks, with Solana losing only $18 million when compared to $220 million on EVM chains in 2025. And this is also where we start looking for a silver lining or some sort of positive signal. Now, luckily for us, it does exist. Within 5 days of the hack, the Solana Foundation launched 2 new programs: active monitoring, formal verification for some of the top protocols, and a new crisis response network. First, you have Stride, a structured security evaluation program led by Asymmetric Research. This is going to assess Solana DeFi protocols against 8 security pillars. Now, protocols over $10 million TVL get 24/7 threat monitoring. Protocols over $100 million TVL get formal verification funded by the foundation itself.
I mean, I think here the signals that we're hearing is really, Solana is aware. So Solana Foundation is aware that this is happening, and they're quickly going on their feet because ultimately, Solana wants to be the capital market and want to onboard all these financial institutions. So security is crucial for the users, for the platform, for the protocols. If you want to onboard the bigger fish down the line, if you want to onboard the banks, if you want to onboard the wealth managers, you will have to have a protocol that is mindful of all of this. And this is why I think this quick reaction from the foundation is exceptional, and it comes really at the right moment.
Then there's SIRN, the Solana Incident Response Network. Now, this is a coordinated group of security firms, including Ottosec, Neodyme, Squads, and Zero Shadow. It's built for real-time crisis response. Austin Federa amplified this response and the foundation's decision to use their own treasury to address some of these security issues. Now, Federa knows the Solana ecosystem as well as anyone, so clearly the industry's response matters as much as the incident itself. And then here's what we're left with. The reality isn't quite as it seems from the headlines at first. The drift hack was real, yes. The $964 million in ecosystem TVL loss is arguably even more real. The impact on user confidence, also real. Overall, this is a painful reality for everyone involved. But the idea or the narrative that Solana DeFi is somehow broken, well, the data doesn't support that because TVL is already recovering. The attack vector was human, not protocol level. And historical comparisons showed that the TVL drop we experienced was far smaller than the median after events of the same size.
I mean, like we always say, with Ross when he's on the call with me, Solana Floor, they're really biased to the Solana ecosystem. And I mean, I fully agree with him. In the grand scheme of things, everything is recovering. There is, solutions that are being put in place. So that's really the element. But the kind of transition that I wanted to quickly do before closing the episode is we have a lot of those, I would say, projects that unfortunately are being hacked, and a lot of them unfortunately actually simply disappear. And this is why it leads me to the second article that kind of talking about Q1, and so it's really showing us how the ecosystem, the whole Web3 ecosystem is living. And we can see that unfortunately we don't hear it, but a lot of the crypto projects simply disappear, shut down, and you see it all over Twitter, all over the articles. And the one that actually caught my eye was, I mean, we had heard about the Step Finance kind of hack, and where they lost most of their funds. And Solana Floor actually used to be part of Step Finance. And unfortunately, those projects that a year ago seemed to be on top of the world, because I mean, I have it here actually. Last year, we went to the Crossroad back in Turkey conference, and this year, for example, it's April. there's no crossroad. So I don't know if because it was Step Finance that was kind of the key sponsor, but in a year you can go from hero to unfortunately disappearing. And the good folks at Solana Florida were part of the Step Finance group. Luckily for them, they're now part of the Gito Foundation, and they can keep on doing their good work. But things happen, we have to be mindful of that, and we have to be careful, because unfortunately, these projects, they gathered a lot of attention, but maybe at their core, some of the foundation, some of the framework that they were using was not perfectly optimized. And this is life. You're a startup, you're trying to find a product market fit, but at some of the levels, would it be at the security level, would it be simply as the community is not there, or you're pushing maybe an airdrop at the beginning and there's no actual value behind it? The market basically tells you how strong you are. Are the people coming back to your protocol? Is the security holding up to all these events? Like I said before, AI is here. There's going to be a lot more attacks on those. Cybersecurity risk is real, but as well, all the tax and regulations are coming. So this is maybe just a message to founders, but you have to be prepared, and you have to really take a step back sometimes and just say, okay, am I covered from every single angle? And I think this is how I'm gonna kind of stop today's call, and really encourage everyone to just reach out, because it's a product that we're launching. So it's really a framework that helps founders, especially in the Web3 and the crypto space, to really understand all the different risks that are around their businesses. Would it be from a structure, from a tax, from an agreement kind of legal point of view, but as well from an accounting point of view? There's so many pieces that work together, and oftentimes if one of them is missing, well, you might end up in that list. So feel free to reach out. Once again, thank you so much for listening to today's call. I think it was very interesting to really get into the reality of what's happening behind the scenes. Like they say, sometimes the headline is just 1 billion left from the market of TVL, but there is always layers to the story. So we have to be mindful of those, and just prepare for the worst, but always hope for the best. And the Solana community is there to always, I think, support us to really push the project up. And everyone is very excited with all these new security elements, and the kind of protocols for the institutional money to jump in. I mean, I see 2026 and 2027 really perfect moment for a new project to just launch and grow. So good luck to all of the founders. Feel free to reach out if you want to have more information about the Stack framework. And until then, we'll see you soon. All right, that's it for me. Talk soon. Bye-bye.